All right. Well, I appreciate everybody chiming in here. Obviously, the story here has to be what's going on with Affinity 5 right now, and it appears that she has been freed off the grounding. So let me go ahead and see if I can get my picture in picture here. Let's see if we can go ahead and get the screen going here. One of the things I want to be able to do is share some stuff with you. So let's see if we can share some screens. You have to excuse me. I am fighting a little bit of a cold. It is not the COVID. You'll be happy to know, but it is a little bit of the of a cold that I'm shaking right now. All right. So real quick, give you the rundown. My name is Sal Mercogliano. Those of you who don't know me, I host What's Going On with Shipping. This channel had its start in the Suez back in March of 2021. I initially did some talks on what was happening in the Suez. Began this channel as what was going on in the Suez. And there's no end of irony that we are basically back here in the Suez right now. So just real quick, a lot of information has been hitting here. So I want to make sure that everybody is familiar with what's going on here right now and what happened. So Affinity 5, which is a Singapore flag tanker, pretty large tanker actually, was southbound in the Suez, nearly at the same spot, by the way, that Ever Given went ashore back in March of last year. For some unknown reason, which we don't know yet, the ship did go aground, seemed to have plowed in to the west side of the bank, the Africa side of the channel, and firmly planted her nose into the west side. Now, if you remember back when Ever Given went ashore, she was going northbound in about the same exact spot, but plowed into the east side of the channel. And that was actually worse. Because of the way the Suez is, they dredge the Suez and they put a lot of the spoil material on the east side. So that's the sandy embankment. On the west side, what's on the right side of your screen right there, that is more of a solid embankment on that side. It depends on where exactly she is, but that is more of a solid embankment. So you basically can run right into that west side. And what we saw happen with Infinity 5 is exactly that. She basically went into the embankment. Let me get you something else here, another screen to take a look at here that will basically help you see this here. Let me grab another screen here for you because this will show you some of the. I'll pull this up here from some images from Twitter. This was Mike Schuller. He had this up a little while ago. You'll see Affinity 5 here went just about sideways in the Suez, pretty well into that embankment with her stern just about touching the other embankment. What we do know too, and I appreciate Sam over at Marine Tracker. He pulled this and made this note to me. So, hats off to Sam over there. It appears that the tanker that was coming behind southbound of the Affinity 5 may have lost control and actually rammed into the starboard quarter of Affinity 5. Excuse me again. I've been shaking a cough. I am COVID free, done multiple tests, just running a cough right now. But it appears as if the Amelia was not able to stop. Now, she's a smaller tanker, about 20,000 tons, so nowhere near the size of Affinity 5, but still a major size vessel. So that could have caused some damage, obviously, to Affinity 5. Let me go ahead and pull back up here. Excuse me. Let's pull back up here, the other screen. And let's go over to Marine Traffic and show you what exactly was happening here. So here's Marine Traffic. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out here a bit. You'll see right here to the north, She was coming out of the Great Bitter Lake. This is right up here, the Great Bitter Lake. This is where Ever Given sat for a very long time. Came through here through the Little Bitter Lake, was heading southbound. And you'll see there is Suez right there, Port Suez, and into the Red Sea. Let's go ahead and pull her track up so you can see her track. I'm going to zoom in and let's run her track. You can see exactly what happened here. We'll go up here to the start. In southbound convoy here. Let that run. So this will run her track from where she entered the Suez. And here she is. We'll get her running in. Let's see if we can fast forward here. Look, there she is running. There we go. We'll speed this up a little bit. There's her speed right there. 9.2 knots. Go ahead and speed this up just a little bit here for you. 10 knots heading southbound at the time. This northern part of the canal here is also a single lane. So you would be in the single file right here with ships behind and in front of you heading down. They're coming into the dual lane part of the canal here. You'll see it here with a branch off. This is the part they added prior to Ever Given. This is where they added the dual lane. What this did was actually increase the number of ships that can go through the Suez Canal. You don't need to have so many ships stop in the Great Bitter Lake now. Let's go ahead and here and speed this up to our max. So here she is southbound. Again, everything seems fairly normal. They're slowing down a bit, which is fairly typical. She has to keep enough propulsion to maintain way using her rudder. She'll be coming here into the Great Bitter Lake. She actually anchors here in the lake for a brief period of time. So she'll do this. It's fairly typical. Usually what they're doing is letting ships in the northbound convoy clear out of the lower lake here in the lower part of the canal. Let's go ahead. We're going to fast forward here because she's going to sit here for a little bit. Keep going here until she gets going. Jump ahead here. There she is. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more. Coming out of the lake. She will have, as always, 2 Suez Canal pilots on board. Pilots will tag team on and off. There will be some tugs following along with the ships, not attached to them, but available should they need them. Here she is coming out of the Little Bitter Lake right here, and she's going to head into the southbound section of the canal. This is also a one-way section. So I'm going to slow this down here for a second. Again, my apologies for my bad cough right now. So here she is coming down, doing about 10.5 knots, 10.6. She's coming down. This is the spot where she's going to have the incident. I'm going to zoom in here for that. You'll see here she's kind of showing herself a little sideways. A couple of reasons for that. She is probably not going down the canal quite like that, but there could be issues with wind where she's a little bit off kilter there. She was in a partially loaded condition. That's what she's identifying it as. 116,000 tons, I think she is. Tanker. She sailed from Portugal, heading for Yanbu in Saudi Arabia, obviously to go load. So not sure what is going to cause the incident that will cause her to ground. Here she comes in right now. And there's the grounding. And what you see is our bow digging in and the stern kicking out here. And that's our grounded. If you run the Amelia's track, she comes down here, doesn't stop, and hits the starboard quarter of the vessel. So you'll see the vessel here. She's now kind of stuck at this time. We're still running the track here. So let's see how long this was. So I'll come back here a little forward here. So here she comes in, looking at the time down here. So she hits at about 17:09 UTC, Universal Standard Time. Egyptian time is ahead, I think, an hour or two. See how long she sits here. Go ahead and speed this back up a bit. So immediately the Egyptians would dispatch tugs to them. We talked about this in the tweets I sent out really recently, that there was a larger salvage tug that was sent out along with 3 smaller tugs to assist her. So she's sitting there about an hour at this point now, still sitting there at this time. You'll see some movement begin here in a second. They were able to bring in larger tugs, the Azat Adale, able to move her. They got her off right at the high tide, by the way, too. There's about a 4-foot high tide, and we're just coming down it right now. So there you see that movement. They were able to pull her stern off, and now she is underway again. See, she's heading here toward this side of it. We'll see her come to a stop here. And then she begins to kind of drift back here just a little bit. And now she's kind of holding there, moving up again. And now she's out. And you see her kind of heading off. You see her bouncing up against that west side there. So not exactly sure what's causing that. Again, AIS is never always the most accurate element. Sometimes you will not see the exact things you need to see. So sometimes that could be tracking a little bit off, but right now, here she is. She's showing 4.6 knots, heading southbound in the canal right now. Let's go ahead and zoom out here for a minute. Here's the Amelia up here. Again, a much smaller vessel. She stopped right now. And then further up here is the rest of the convoy. All these vessels are showing stopped right now. We'll go here, pull them all up here. So these were the rest of the vessels coming in behind them. Yep, they're all showing stopped at this time. Some more vessels. Again, here's an example. This vessel is not up on land. She's showing an anchor right there. And there's the Mumbai, India right there coming in behind them. So obviously a lot going on there. Just wanted to show you what we think is happening. Again, not exactly sure the cause for this. And it's going to be an interesting issue to see what exactly caused. We didn't see high speeds. So not the situation we saw with Ever Given. When we look at what's going on in the canal right now, I'm going to pull up Affinity V, see if we can get a weather issue here, see what they're reporting on the weather situation right there. Trying to get her latest position information, other issues here with weather, if there's anything we can get here on her. Yeah, she's not showing information on it right now. I'd be really interested to see what the weather situation is in the canal at this time. Let me take a look at some questions here. If there's anybody's got any questions, I'm getting the live chat right now. So let me take a look at this real quick. I'm not going to say hello to everybody, but I appreciate everybody here trying to save my voice just a little bit. See. Thanks. I hope I do feel better too, Annie. I appreciate that. Let's see, reading some issues here. Everything looks good. Okay. Yeah, this is I will say, so one of the big differences you're seeing right now, and I think is a really important one, is the Egyptians have stationed tugs and larger vessels all throughout the canal. Let me show you here real quick. Let me grab this screen here for you and you can take a look. So this is, where is it at? Here it is. So this is the large tug. This is the Izzat Adel. This was the tug that was on the bow of the vessel. And what you saw there was they were able to pull her off, very similar to what you saw with Ever Given. Now, this vessel is obviously smaller than Ever Given. Affinity 5, she is not as big as her. She was also in a partially loaded state, so she wasn't drawing as much water. And that bow wasn't really probably firmly aground the way Ever Given was, because Ever Given went into the east bank. She ran up on the shoals. On the west bank, as I said before, it's almost like a sheer drop right there. So you would have just banged into the west side. And they'll be able to kind of get her off fairly quickly. So I think that's one of the big attributes here that we're seeing is those differences. Plus, again, the Egyptians have invested in this element. Matter of fact, there's a video circulating. I'm not sure it's the accurate video, but of the president of the Suez Canal sending out a congratulations to everybody. I don't speak Egyptian, so I'm not exactly sure how it happened. Let me take a look here real quick, see if there's anything questions I'm missing. If you guys got any questions, please throw them in the chat real quick. I will not be doing this long because of my voice. Frank asked, how often does this happen in the Suez? There's usually a grounding every month, believe it or not. There's usually a monthly grounding. They tend to be very minor. What you saw here with Affinity 5 was a little worse off. Usually when the groundings happen, it's because the ships drop propulsion. And when you drop propulsion, you stops the propeller stops turning or something like that. You still have control with the rudder. And typically what ships will do is kind of like what you would do on a highway. If you have a automobile issue, you pull over on the side. Well, that's what ships usually do. They'll pull off to the side and slowly slow down, bump off the bank, and come to a stop. What happened with Affinity 5 there is because it looked like she was getting wind, and so her bow was pointing more toward the west side. When she hit on the west side, her stern still had that propulsion. Same thing Ever Given did, except Ever Given was going northbound, Affinity 5 was going southbound. And so she went sideways. That stern still had a lot of momentum on him. Ever Given was, again, 1,300 feet to 400 meters. So she's a huge vessel. I mean, she's just massive in her size. This vessel here, I'm trying to pull it up right now, so I have it here for you guys, and I apologize. 252 meters. So Ever Given was 400 meters. So again, Ever Given was wider than the Canal was. It looks like Affinity 5 is about as wide as the Canal was. But again, most of the time they just pull over. Lots of times it happens in the dual lane of the Canal. This just happened to happen in that single lane of the Canal, basically right where Ever Given grounded. So let's see. Yeah, this is much better than a 6-day blockage. I will say that again. Vera May asking about what are the chances for an Israeli canal? Well, I'll tell you this, it's really expensive. And the question is, what does the Israeli canal get you that you don't get from the Suez Canal right now? The Egyptians have announced that they're going to basically be expanding the canal, increasing the width of the southern channel and the northern channel. They just recently put the dual lanes in. So unless there's a lot of financing coming in for the Israeli canal, it's going to be hard for them to go ahead and get it going because it's going to be such a huge lump sum in years to get that canal up and running. So unless something happens that really makes people not want to use the Egyptian canal, and there's reasons not to. I've been through the Suez Canal 3 times, and you get basically shaken down by the Egyptians every time you go through there. They're going to keep using it. Let's see. Matt, yeah, I think she was fighting some wind too. I'm going to be really interested to see what the weather situation was here again. If that tanker was light, and especially in tankers, they ride high. So you get a lot of wind area, the bows bouncing along. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sometimes that bulbous bow is riding really high, so you don't get a lot of control over that. Got a question here. Ian Powell. Ian, let me pull this up for you. I can answer that question very quickly for you. Let's go ahead and share the screen here. So you guys want to learn some of the ways to do this stuff? Head on over to marine traffic right here. Let's see, make sure I'm logged in here. I think I am. Yep, logged in. Let's see vessel information here. This is a Singapore flag vessel. Showing herself to be, let's see what we got here, 114,000 tons, dead weight, 62,000 gross weight, built in 2016. Pull up her ownership. Here you go. She's owned by Transpetrol in Belgium. Managers out of the UK. Built in South Korea, Hyundai. And DNV is her class. So DNV is the class society for the ship. Let's see. Indy's asking, so if the AIS is accurate and the ship was crabbing down the canal due to wind, maybe the wind died momentarily. And yeah, definitely a potential there. That was some excessive crabbing, I would have to say. I'd be interested to see what that information from the bridge data recorder would say. But then again, we're still waiting for the report from the Panamanians, who are the flag registry for Ever Given, to talk about what that bridge data recorder says. Singapore is a little better, I will say. As a Singapore flag vessel and with DNV as their classification society, we may find out a little bit more about this faster. Let's see. Keep going here. Let's see. I keep reading this. Just see if there's any questions I can answer here for you. I apologize. Again, those of you who know me, I don't like to go into wild suppositions unless I know the data. I'm kind of really presenting you what we know here. So real quick, just taking a look here. Let me go on back over here for a second. Let's see where she's at. Let's pull her up right here. There she is. Let's see if we can get a good read on her right now, where she's at. Go ahead and shut this down. Oh, yeah. So she's underway 5 knots right now. Let's go ahead and pull in on her, see how she's doing. Yep, there she is. So these are the smaller tugs, the Switzer tugs. Those 3 were with her at the time. So they're going to be shepherding her down 5 knots, 182 degrees. Yeah, so she is well in command now, underway using engine. Let's go up here to Amelia, see what Amelia is doing. This is the vessel. Sorry, I'm on the tug there. Here she is. Again, much smaller vessel right here. She's stopped right now. She's got a couple of tugs with her right there. So they're probably assessing damage to her. When she hit, she would have probably bounced off. Usually if she hits in the bow is the strongest part of a vessel. It will take the damage better than almost any other part. So they're probably doing a quick assessment of her before they get her sailing. And in the meantime, up above north here, let's see what we got up here. Up north. Get off that. Put that on there. Let's see what we. Oops, I'm going the wrong way on that one. Yeah, everybody else seems to be on their position at this time. Oops, sorry. I don't know what that was. Sorry, when I do this live stream, you're always chance of hitting something and it not going exactly perfect. Those of you who watch me know that this is not always the smoothest running show at all times, but I try to do my best. Going right along here, let me see what else we got here. Yeah, Eric was asking about the shipping line gets a hefty bill for the tug. Oh yeah, They're going to get a big bill, I guarantee you, from the Egyptians for this. There'll be damage to the canal. I mean, you got to remember when Ever Given went in the canal, they charged Evergreen $300 million just for the use of tugs, and then another $300 million for salvage, and then $316 million for basically damages associated with ruining the reputation of the canal, which is my favorite one they did. David, I agree with you. If the tanker was crabbing in wind, then she was empty. Yeah, that's what she's showing. She's showing partially laden. I actually think she's empty. I can't imagine she would have any cargo if she's going to Yanbu. She just left from Portugal. Going on here a little bit. Let's see. Frosty Flake. This is not vodka. I'll have you know. This looks much more like a margarita than vodka. I wish it was. Tell you the truth, that would probably make me feel even better. Vera shaken down by the Egyptians. Yes. If you've never sailed through the Suez Canal, one of the infamous things about sailing through the Suez Canal is you must present the pilots with many, many presents. And if they don't get their presents, your line in the canal will be lost. Basically, you're bribing them to get you in. I had a ship's captain one time call me when I was working operations for a company, and he'd never been to the Suez Canal before. And he said they lost his paperwork, his documentation. They weren't going to let him in. We asked him, well, did you give the captain a hat, shirts, cigarettes? Cigarettes are the big thing. He said, no. I said, go give him that and then see what happens. And magically, everything was good to go. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Video out of focus. I apologize about that. I got to work on my camera. There's some reason here that my camera likes to zoom in on other things than me for sometimes. I don't know why it does that, but it will do that. So wrapping this up, unless anybody's got any other questions, it looks like we have dodged a disaster in the Suez. Affinity V is southbound at this time. This definitely looks like a potential problem that was averted. Again, very common, unfortunately, for this to happen. For most people, they're unaware that this happens. Like I said, it happens on a fairly common basis. However, Egypt is really responding to this. They are trying to get more ships through the canal. They want to see the numbers go up. The average used to be about 51 ships going through the canal. They want to see it go up to 90. And that means reliability. That means you're prepared for these issues. Understand, there was a moment 6 days into Ever Given where ships started going around Africa. You had over 400 ships piled up, waiting to come in. And so, if all of a sudden you have that many ships waiting to come in, let's take a look here real quick. South north end of the canal. I mean, look at this is the south end of the canal down here. It just gives you an idea. Here are all the ships. Red are tankers, green are cargo ships waiting to head northbound. They're sitting there waiting right now for those ships to clear. And if you go up here to the med side, excuse me again, I apologize. I feel very bad doing this with my cough. You'll see right here are cargo ships waiting, tankers waiting. When Ever Given was here, like I said, we had almost 400 ships, 200 on each side of the canal. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like that. And it gives you the idea of how important some of these maritime choke points are. Maritime choke points are these little areas that if you pinch them, they stop. I mean, here's the traffic coming out of the Suez into the Mediterranean. Here's the Red Sea, right? Well, this is actually the this is in the Red Sea. The Red Sea's down here. This is the water between the Sinai and Egypt. But you just see the amount of traffic here. Zoom out even more, and you get the idea here. How important these are. And that's why areas like Suez Canal, Panama Canal, Persian Gulf, Straits of Hormuz, the Malacca Straits, the South China Sea, the Bab el-Mandab, the Straits of Gibraltar, Straits of Messina are so critically important. So I am very happy, believe it or not, that this is a almost a nothing story. It'll be interesting to see what the report is on this. Again, sometimes people are trying to push ships through at a very fast rate, and sometimes they cut corners a little bit. If you have an empty tanker and she's crabbing that bad going down the Suez Canal, you should put a tug on her, at least on the bow, to either help straighten her out. That's to me where you start seeing danger and disaster happen. Fortunately, they were able to get her off real quick, couple hours, and remove her. But definitely a big one here to see. Last thing, just real quick. Make sure I got everybody. Yeah, your Cabal writes a major point there. A lot more pilots when you start going up. Definitely a big thing. All right. Well, I thank everybody for being here. Glad it's not a story. Excuse me. I'm gonna go give my throat a break. May have to go use some of that vodka that was recommended to me earlier to try to make it feel better. I feel fine. It's started back at school at Campbell. Been talking nonstop for a week and a half, and I probably just need to give it a break. Appreciate everybody going on. 275 people. Wow. Just really, really impressive. I appreciate that. I will recap this on tomorrow's What the Ship. That's my weekly show where I do the top 5 maritime stories. Be sure if you guys haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos. The story. I appreciate everybody chiming in here. And until our next episode or the next time something goes awry in the Suez Canal, I'll get back here live for you. All right, that's it. I appreciate everybody. Everybody have a good night and stay safe.